Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the MLB DFS Playbook live show here on the Better Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm social channels. James, baseball slate tonight, 7 games on the main slate here. We are talking a pretty interesting matchup here going up in terms of pitching. Top 2 pitchers are up against one another on tonight's slate here with Ohtani, Eovaldi. We got some weather in Chicago. Not that it's going to delay the game, but we got 15 to 20 mile an hour winds blowing in, which is going to put a lot of rostership here. We have some low game totals, some interesting strikeout numbers on certain pitchers here tonight. So it's going to be a pretty interesting slate to build for just 7 games.
Yeah, definitely an interesting slate. Some solid pitching. Also, different pitchers than when you and I recorded last night, taking them out in multiple spots. So, overall, definitely an interesting slate, a fun one nonetheless. And you know what? Those different pitchers definitely opened more things up. Let me just say that, because we were making some decisions on the podcast last night that maybe you and I didn't necessarily love. But little better when Yu Darvish goes from Yu Darvish to Ryan Weathers overnight, right, John? So
yes, because we kind of were maybe playing Yu Darvish,
right,
but we certainly aren't playing Ryan Weathers. Or are we playing Ryan Weathers? We'll see.
Don't say we though. I'm not playing Ryan. That's a
why don't we get into Vegas here again? We got 7 games. Give us the spreads and totals that we should be keying in on today.
Yeah, so some money line favorites here. As my is in decimal places here, John. I don't know why I said that. But Sonny Gray in non-decimal place money line favorite at minus 200 over on DraftKings Sportsbook. The Twins take on the Detroit Tigers tonight. AJ Smith-Shawver and the Atlanta Braves minus 240 against the Colorado Rockies on this main slate. We have Christian Javier and the Houston Astros minus 205 against Washington. Those are your biggest money line non-decimal place favorites. And then when you head over to the over-unders, we have Colorado, Atlanta with a slate high 9.5 implied runs. And then everything else kind of sucks. I guess the most notable thing outside of 9.5 implied runs is that Pittsburgh, Chicago opened at 6.5. It's been bet up to 7. The under is heavily favored, though. So I wouldn't be surprised if by lock that total is at 6.5. Maybe 6, if we really get some line movement, especially if there's going to be 15 mile an hour winds consistently. So one game really appealing, one game really not. So definitely an interesting slate on the Vegas front.
100% there. James, I know this is a baseball show, but we got a little bit of news here today. The Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Football Draft Guide is live. You can get full access to all fantasy football draft guide content and cheat sheet if you sign up for an all-pro subscription package here. That includes that 7-day free trial. Or if you want just a draft guide, you don't want to buy the subscription, that's fine too. $26.99. Go to fantasyalarm.com/draft guide. Again, you can buy the all-pro subscription, sign up there, and get full access to the draft guide. It's updated weekly, daily, seasonally as news comes. We update it. This is a living draft guide. This is not a print magazine draft guide because while all those print magazine draft guides are on your shelves now, someone gets hurt, those aren't getting updated. However, they do get updated here with our living draft guide there. So that launched out there today. We got rankings from Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper, Jim Bowden, Adam Ronas all coming in there as well. We got strategy articles, top 10 sleepers, busts, and rookie articles coming out. So go check all of that out live now today. fantasyalarm.com/draft guide to get access to the fantasy football draft guide. That being said, fantasy football season pushed aside. Let's go back to some MLB DFS talk here, James. We got the main slate here, 7 games. Pitching up at the top, Nathan Eovaldi, Shohei Ohtani. Where are we going here tonight between the top 2 price starting pitchers?
So I think you can go either direction. I think largely the field is kind of staying away. Not staying away, but there's the next crop of pitchers. A lot of people are going to. DePrince, you have not missed anything. Welcome, good sir, to the start of the show. This is the fantasy. We're just promoting the NFL draft guide. That's what you missed.
Yeah, draft guide's launch free. Fantasy football draft guide's now live. If you're just tuning in now, fantasylime.com/draft guide. You can go check it out. If you're already a subscriber, you have it for free. If you're not yet a subscriber, I don't know what you're waiting for. 7-day free trial. Get access to it. fantasylime.com/draft guide.
I think DePrince missed that link. What was it again?
fantasylime.com/draft guide.
fantasyalarm.com/draft guide, right?
Yeah, cool little graphic there. There you go. Cool little graphic.
Wait, fantasyalarm.com/draft guide. There's a 7-day free trial at fantasyalarm.com/draft guide. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. fantasyalarm.com/draft guide. So Nathan Eovaldi, Shohei Ohtani. Look, I think it's a very interesting matchup between two pitchers that are both elite this year. Ohtani has definitely been better as a hitter of late, and like as good as it's gotten of late for hitting. He has not been the same guy pitching, but we know he has as much strikeout upside as anyone else on the slate. And for as good as Texas is, they do have a 23% strikeout rate against righties this year. Look, you can't go wrong with either guy, or can you? But they're priced the way they are because they have the highest ceilings. We've seen Eovaldi have a complete game shutout already this year. We've seen him go 3 consecutive starts, almost complete game shutting out opponents. So I don't think there's a wrong answer. I personally am going the Shohei Ohtani route because I think there is more upside in terms of strikeouts. The Angels strike out a lot less than Texas this year.
He has the highest projected strikeout total over on DraftKings Sportsbook today. Does
not surprise me. And truthfully, this is the first time all year we've seen Shohei Ohtani projected for less than 20% roster share. And that's appealing to me. And Eovaldi's right there with him. It's not like either guy is super high projected, but that's very appealing. If you can get Shohei Ohtani, who has had 4 games of 10 plus strikeouts this year, at less than 20% rostered, I'm in. So I'll go Ohtani. And Christian Javier, who's getting a lot of ownership tonight, John, is not even in the same ballpark of those two guys for me, just for what it's worth. Maybe you've changed your opinion or tune from what the podcast was this morning, but he's projected higher rostership than both those two. Wow. And I want to ask those who are getting to Christian Javier, I understand that Framber Valdez gave you 22 fantasy points last night, but at 10-2, if Christian Javier gives you 20 fantasy points, are you really that happy?
Right.
Is that
I'm not. Honestly, we talked about this with the righty bats were starting to Nationals were slowly starting to come alive against right-handed pitching. They still don't strike out against right-handed pitching here. So and Javier this year not striking anybody out either. So that was a little bit of a dangerous matchup, I think. I'm living in the next tier. Yes. Mark asked why I don't like Sonny Gray here. I've flipped the tune a little bit. Obviously, last night on the show, I was at least just mentioning that the recent struggles for Sonny Gray. But I feel like we did this with Aaron Nola as well, where we were like, oh, Aaron Nola's kind of sucking, but look who he's faced. And then I think it was Detroit. He went out and just absolutely put the hammer to. Now, Sonny Gray doesn't necessarily have the same stuff as Aaron Nola, I don't think. But Vegas has Sonny Gray with a 6.5 strikeout prop tonight, which is probably the highest it's been all year. So I am in on Sonny Gray tonight. This is an easier matchup for him for sure. Bounce back spot. He's a favorite to win. He's the biggest favorite on the board to get a win, or second biggest favorite on the board to get a win today at plus 165. So I am very much in on Sonny Gray. And then the guy below him is the highest favorite on the board to get a win at plus 135. And that's Marcus Stroman up against Pittsburgh. 15 to 20 mile an hour winds blowing in at Wrigley here tonight. So that is a huge bump to bats. He's also a ground ball pitcher anyways. And we like a lot of these Pirates generally against lefties, not righties. So give me Stroman here tonight. Give me Gray here tonight. I would rather live with those two as my SB1, SB2 and build around them than spend up for Eovaldi, Ohtani, Javier.
That's what the field is doing as well. That is the
Makes sense.
clear approach. That is a clear approach tonight. Sonny Gray significantly higher than rostered than anyone else. Him and Marcus Stroman, the only two pitchers projected over 30%. And I don't. I largely agree with you because it's also extremely affordable. To me, there's a few okay value plays, but nothing as concrete as a guy who gets 18 ground ball outs in a game, and now anytime anyone wants to put it in the air against them, now they have to face 20-mile-an-hour winds. Like, how do you beat that?
Right.
How do you defeat the final boss that is Marcus Stroman tonight? Unless you're the Washington Nationals, who this wouldn't be a problem anyway, because they would just hit singles through the holes of
Well, that's
Wrigley
just what it
anyway,
is.
right?
Yeah, you just single people to death here. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on the slate. It's a smaller slate. We talk about it all the time. Like, you can be chalky at pitching and just be different somewhere else on a smaller slate, because if Stroman and Gray go out there and give 25 to 30 fantasy points tonight, and you don't have them on a small slate, are you going to be different enough at your bats to make that difference?
Right.
Probably not. So I'm eating the chalk. If we are going down into the mid-tier range below them, does anybody jump out to you here today?
So I don't know if anyone. There's obviously a few names. Like Johan Avito is obviously appealing, right? Just naturally in a game with a lot of wind, where a ballpark plays a massive factor in. Like when
Yeah,
there's wind in Wrigley, there's no other ballpark that has the impact that it does. And Oviedo isn't a guy who exactly gave up a lot of power to begin with. I
right.
mean, 2 home runs since his opening day start. So he's allowed 5 home runs on the year. 3 of them came on his opening start. 2 of
Yeah.
them in the last 12 starts.
47.5% ground ball rate
Yeah,
for
it's
Oviedo.
another guy who just and honestly a decent strikeout pitcher too. Like we've now had 5 games in a row in which he struck out 5 or more batters. We know the Cubs strike out a lot. My one worry with Oviedo here, and if anyone was watching the better betting show with me and Dan Servideo just in the last hour, I actually bet his over walk prop. He's done it for over 2.5 walks. He's done it in 4 of his 6 road starts this year. And the Cubs have the third best walk rate in baseball against righties, second best over the last 2 weeks. He's just not a guy who throws a lot of strikes. So, like,
No.
that's the worry for me using Oviedo, would be the walks. And, like, you you can only find 2 starts since the beginning of the year that he's not walked multiple batters. So, like, Oviedo's fine. I think
Yeah, the numbers for the Cubs, the walk rate obviously 10.5%, but everything else is terrible. Last 2
terrible,
weeks
terrible.
against righties here, 219 batting average and 073 ISO at 280 WOBA, all pretty much down towards the bottom of the barrel there. It's just like, does Pittsburgh score off Stroman, right, to give him
Yes.
a spot to get a win here? So I don't mind the Oviedo call. I'm not really living anywhere else in this place either. I joked about Weathers. I'm not pitching Weathers here. I'm going with AJ Smith-Shawver if this game plays. It's summer in Georgia, so pop-up thunderstorms, big thunderstorms, those things exist here. This is the beginning of a series, so they could call it and play a doubleheader. Something to worry about there. So we have to at least monitor the rain here in Atlanta. It is one of the earlier start times, so we'll probably know before lock whether this one's going to be delayed or not. But that's the only really worry that I have. Other than that, it's a good matchup for him. He's cheap. I know he's young. I know they kind of limit him a little bit, but if he goes 5 innings and Atlanta jumps out to a big lead, and he can still get us some win equity there at $5,500.
Yeah, massive favorite today. Like everything kind of trending in the right direction for him. I like that a lot. He's getting some ownership. A lot of people are he's the 6th highest rostered pitcher on tonight's slate, at about 17%. He's actually tied with Evaldi for 5th. So, yeah, I like Smith-Shawver. I want to ask you about 2 more guys, okay? Because one is getting ownership that I did not expect
Okay,
whatsoever, and one is not, and you already know where I'm going with that.
go for it.
One, I'll start with the guy that I like tonight, and that's Matthew Boyd. And I mentioned it on the podcast last night, and I haven't wavered because I did a little deeper dive
Yep.
on Matthew Boyd. And on the road this year, John, Matthew Boyd has a 2.93 ERA compared to an 8.46 home ERA. We already know Minnesota's struggles against left-handed pitching, especially in the power department. Lefties or average against Matthew Boyd at home this year, 301. Average against Matthew Boyd on the road this year, 184. 258 WOBA allowed. Like, I don't know. Like, looking at Detroit too, John, 8 pitched for their bullpen in their doubleheader across 2 games yesterday, across their doubleheader. They kind of need Matthew Boyd to get deep into this game. Like, even if he gets off to a rocky start, which we've seen at times, like let's say he gives up 2 early runs and he gets through 7 innings because they need him to at 2 runs. Like, Matthew Boyd not getting any ownership tonight against a team with the second highest strikeout rate against lefties and a bottom 4 team in OPS. The one name that I was not expecting to see that people actually like, and I really don't get this, is Michael Grove of the Los Angeles Dodgers, checking in with double-digit ownership. Michael Grove has been awful, really. Largely awful outside of one performance this year. I mean, like, why? Like, I know the lefties are what kill Michael Grove. The lefties have killed him all year long. And the White Sox don't have lefty bats to, like, anywhere. They just don't exist. Andrew Benintendi. I say this to you all the time. I'm like, that is not a scary lefty. Like, Andrew Benintendi has as much power as you and I do. But, like, am I missing something? Should I be more interested in Michael Grove?
I don't think so. I think this is a small slate special. That's kind of what I think that's all about.
Okay. Because I just and Mark brings up an interesting point about Buxton being activated. Like, yeah, Byron Buxton, obviously he does make a difference. He's also hitting 220. And Byron Buxton has been one of those, like, very streaky hitters throughout his career. When he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's terrible. He went on to
Curry's starting to heat up a little bit too, though. So, like,
yes, sure. And Rice Lewis, something that you and I talked about, like, hasn't had a lot of. Maybe he's the best lefty matcher of all time. He's only had 6 at bats. So, like, things could definitely be different.
Buxton, by the way, just 2 for 24 with 8 strikeouts against Boyd. So.
And he's hitting 220 on the year. Like, and he went into his IL stint 5 for his last 35. Yeah. So
I've been teased by the Matthew Boyd lore plenty of times before, but you want to get different up against, again, one of the biggest favorites on the board in Sonny Gray. It's certainly a way to go about it.
No one's playing him, just for the record. Yeah. I mean, like, the pitchers, here are the pitchers that are projected lower rostership: Dylan Cease, Ryan Weathers, Kyle Freeland. That's the end of the list. 2 of those guys we're stacking against. Dylan Cease is, who knows what happened to this guy. So, just to be a little different. I'm not like one lineup-ing Matthew Boyd, but if you're playing multiple lineups, I think there's things to like about Matthew.
Okay. Let's move on over to the catcher position then and talk to me about your top catcher for today's slate, man.
Top catcher of the slate is Sean Murphy. I don't even think it's all that close. He gets a lefty. He has been notoriously good against lefties. Like, that's all he's really done his whole career is just mash lefties. We're getting him in the midst of this Braves lineup. And I put out a tweet a little before the betting show a couple hours ago, or I don't even know what time it is anymore. Like, my day is whatever. Kyle Freeland, in 33.2 innings on the road this year, has allowed 8 home runs, John. That's 2.14 home runs per 9. In 9 innings more at home, which is Coors Field, he has allowed 4 home runs, less than a home run per inning. Like, Kyle Freeland, and you've mentioned this a couple times, only pitches well at Coors. Now he has to go to Atlanta, and I understand there's a little weather involved, but it's not a good pitching environment. It's very hot. The ball's going to carry, and he can't pitch on the road to begin with. Sean, he's my home run call of the day. Over on my Twitter feed, if you guys want to get involved, you see the Twitter handle right there. I put out a graphic every day about, who's your home run call here at Fantasy Live and Better Sports. But Sean Murphy's my home run call of the day, and he's my favorite catcher to get to, and probably, truthfully, the only catcher over 4K that I have any interest in.
Yeah, I think Jonah Heim could be an option tonight. Again, my contrarian play today is actually going to be stacking against Shohei Ohtani.
Okay.
Again, last two starts for him really haven't been all that great. And if you remember, James, you and I, we got Jonah Heim last year
We did get Jonah Heim against
when we
Shohei. We
pitched
sure did.
Shohei Ohtani against these Rangers, and I think he had a grand slam off of him or something like that. So I do like Jonah Heim here at $4,100. I think there's obviously always some good power. And then going up in the other side of that matchup, Angels catchers, right? Dice against Evaldi, I'm fine going there. Just as a good hitter, just makes good contact, hits the ball well. And then Jeffers is a guy that has some
Yes.
pop a little bit in his bat against Boyd at $2,600.
Yeah, and like I'm also conversely not against stacking against Matthew Boyd. Like he's one of those pitchers that I would be fully with and against. Like if you want to stack against him, fine. Ryan Jeffers last year against left-handed pitching, 226 ISO, 389 WOBA. Like hasn't been that same guy this year. 302 WOBAs, 107 ISO, definitely subpar, high strikeout rate. But I do think he is an interesting bat hitting at the bottom of this lineup. Catcher is definitely bad. Without a doubt
Yep.
tonight. It's a
It's
bad
not good.
position.
Let's get to first base where there's infinitely better options.
Well, hold on. I got one. Martin Maldonado, cheap home run against a lefty. Come on.
Sure. Oh, contest is full. No.
Contest is full. Come
Now
on,
it's making me
dude.
log in. Oh my
Oh,
god.
come on. Now we all know your
Oh
password.
no. Don't
Oh
hack
my
me. Don't hack
god.
me while we're here. Making me do all this stuff. There we go. Just trying to update it for the lineups, man. Jesus. Killing me. I should have reserved it. Wouldn't have had to worry about it. All right. First base. Freddie Freeman, your top guy here.
Yes.
Okay. Any qualms against not going Freddie Freeman here tonight?
No. I think Freeman's solid. I would go Olsen in the lefty spot if you wanted to pivot. But yeah, I love Freeman. Hard not to like Freeman. I mean, look, he's been great against righties, and Dylan Cease has not been all that good. Dodgers have still, even with like who's supposed to be a good pitcher, they still have a 5 implied run total. And his specific issue has been lefties. 182 ISO, 338 WOBA against left-handed bats. So no, I'm perfectly fine getting to Freddie Freeman.
That's exactly kind of where I'm at with this one here tonight as well. Again, Nathaniel Lowe will be in my Ohtani stack there. I think that one works. Jones at $3,800, I think is another good play here in the mid tier.
Yes, very hard not to like Nolan Jones in current form, and I know like Smith Shawver is like going to be pretty popular and whatnot, but like still a 20-year-old kid that we've only seen a handful of innings out of. Like that could definitely blow up in their face because let's face it, Colorado has had their most success, not a lot, against right-handed pitching. Like they do have two guys at the top of their order in Nolan Jones and Ryan McMahon who have hit righties very well. I mean, we saw it last night. McMahon was the only damage against Boston last night. And it was after a Nolan Jones double. Like that's just kind of what happened. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine getting to Nolan Jones. He has been amazing. And against right-handed pitching, 310 ISO, 477 WOBA. He just has a high strikeout rate against them. He just needs to cut down there.
Mid-tier, again, Jose Abreu continues to be on one. 333, 959 OPS. It's almost a 600 slug last 10 games. Over the last 2 weeks against righties, he has a 656, against lefties, 656 WOBA as well. So just like totally locked in right now against Southpaws. He gets Mackenzie Gore.
Yeah, love that. Just nice to see because he was too good. He's too good to not hit home runs. Like he was never gonna go like homerless for the year, but like to see the power coming through, it's great. He's too good of a hitter. I mean, he was like the most underappreciated hitter in baseball for like the last 10 years, probably. So yeah, I love Abreu, and honestly, if you're going any lower, I think it's Josh Bell for me. Truthfully, at 2,500. He's going to weather the storm here against Ryan. And he's been really good. He's been very good against left-handed pitching this
Yeah.
year. 194 ISO, 337 WOBA. And where Weathers has really struggled, it's righties and it's power. 217 ISO, 410 WOBA allowed. Very bad. Very, very bad numbers for Ryan Weathers. I'm going back to the Guardians. Well, I don't know if you've picked up on that yet, but I'm going to be playing some Guardians
Yeah.
tonight. Honestly, like I don't know how much I'm gonna get to. I don't think the lineup is out. It is. Damn, we're not getting Zaninu again against a lefty. And that was kind of what I was waiting for to
Yeah.
maybe give us some like
Sure.
something. Because their catcher tonight,
Yeah.
John, is a 2K first baseman. He's actually not even on, is he on the slate? Fry? He is. He is 2K at first base, David Fry, a right-handed bat. Not going to get there, but it's another punty option if you wanted to get a righty against Ryan
Okay.
Weathers.
I don't mind it. And then Mark and Chad's asking about Donovan Solano leading off tonight. What are your thoughts?
I mean, he's hit lefties well. I mean, this is a guy who hit like 300 last year.
Right.
And he's not a bad baseball player. He's just like not, it's not like a sexy play because he's not going to go up there. I mean, this is like, it's like Luis Urias if Luis Urias was 2K, right? Like minus like 100 points on his batting average, but like not a lot of power, singles hitter. But for what it's worth, 151 ISO, 361 WOBA against left-handed pitching this year, and Matt Boyd has been worse against righties. So sure, if you want to play Donovan Solano, it's not. It could get worse. Yeah. Could be worse.
Yeah, again, he's a guy that has hit lefties well over the course of his career, so I think it's that. Could be a play if you want to get super different. No one's going to go there tonight. Nelly against Allen, too, guy who just historically hits power against lefties. I know he's been off to a little bit of a slump there, but back in the lineup now, homered in his first game back, so could be something to pay attention to there against Southpaws.
Yeah, him and Brandon Dixon are both like the same player. One's just like 20 years older than the other guy.
All right, let's go on over to the second base position here. Mookie Betts is your top guy. Simeon, Altuve, but we do have Albies against a lefty, so $4,800 is kind of the first plug when I was building lineups tonight, going up against Freeland as long as that weather plays. But I also like Ha-Seong Kim here at $3,600, also getting lefty and hitting fifth tonight.
Yeah, so Albie's numbers are just absolutely ludicrous against left-handed pitching. And we say this every single time he faces a lefty, but they've been ludicrous for years. Like, this is just what Ozzy Albies does. You said it last time when we talked about Rodolfo Castro. This is probably a guy who should just probably be batting from the right side exclusively, and he's not, so that's his fault. But 324 ISO, 482 WOBA against left-handed pitching. And I agree. I do like Ha-Seong Kim too, because he's been awesome against lefties as well. And I'm a little sad that you would dare target my boy.
You're a Logan Allen fan, whatever.
Logan T. Allen. But the Padres, where they have been good this year has been against left-handed pitching specifically, and Kim has been a key member of that. 203 ISO, 346 WOBA. So I like both those.
A little power, a little speed there for Ha-Seong Kim if he gets in the lineup here tonight. After that, I don't know, where are we looking to target? You mentioned that Jimenez actually hits lefties fairly well. $3,400 against Weathers. Does he make a lineup leading off tonight for the Guardians?
Definitely. He's making multiple lineups. I already told you I'm stacking Guardians. In my hand, it's out there. 389 WOBA against left-handed pitching this year. And when you look at last season, 358 WOBA against lefties. Like, he's just been good, and they gave him $100 million for a reason. Like, he needs to be good more consistently. But, starting to come around, 4 extra base hits and an 833 OPS over his last 10 games, like, starting to see signs of life. Jimenez is by far my favorite play down here. Just icing on the cake that he's leading.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also think Kyle Farmer, again, you're going against Boyd, hitting fifth, does have some power against lefties. You can find him in some lineups here tonight as well for me.
Yep, fully agree.
Over at the third base, kind of loaded up to the top, we got Austin Riley against Southpaw, $5,300. Manny Machado, I know you like Allen, but that guy is booming.
No, yeah, he's been
against lefties here. $4,800 for him. The FanDuel pricing on these guys are actually hilarious. Riley's $3K. Machado's like $2,800 or $2,900. Like free third base top tier guys. Jose Ramirez being down here at $4,500.
Dude,
here's what sucks. They had a righty on the mound, and Jose Ramirez against righties this year is a raking. But for two straight years, Jose Ramirez has sucked against lefties. So I know that he homered off a lefty when he faced Boston twice. But that guy's not in baseball anymore. So, it's debatable as to whether or not that was even a major league pitcher.
Right, that's fair.
Not that Weathers is probably marginally better than that guy. Again, forget his name. But I don't know, $4,500. If Weathers isn't long for this game, then you could get a Padres bullpen in here, a righty on the mound against Ramirez, and better matchup for him.
Mark, what's his name? Mark can come up with a name for him, right? That's what he did the first time around.
Made up Mitchell, whatever it was. It wasn't even Mitchell.
Yeah. He created a player in MLB The Show, and then said what his created player was. This position makes me want to play FanDuel, John, because I want to play all the Austin Riley. I also do want to play Manny Machado, although I'm a Logan T. Allen stan. And I can't ignore Jose Ramirez at $4,500. You are right that Jose Ramirez has stunk in pretty much every category against left-handed pitching.
For 2 years.
But one. There has been one category that Jose Ramirez is still the lead in. And the chart is very green. Like, as green grass you looking at. 243 ISO against lefties this year. Last year, 188 ISO against left-handed pitching. So, like, the power, and he's 4,500, is hard to ignore, right? Like I said that on last night's show when we were talking about it against Yu Darvish. Infinitely worse pitcher now against Ryan Weathers, who has allowed over 200. And like, I'm not even afraid to throw Ryan McMahon into that mix because Ryan McMahon's been the bee's knees for like a month. How would you? Okay, I'll throw this back at you. If you're ranking them based on your exposures tonight, how are you ranking them? And if you want to exclude McMahon, because like, let's face it, Riley, Machado, and Ramirez are probably the three best options, and that is what it is. How would you rank them?
Riley, Machado, Ramirez.
You rank them as priced. I would probably flip Ramirez and Machado, in my opinion. Now, unbiased aside,
you like Allen, so you're less on Machado for that reason.
I might put Ramirez first because he's $4,500 and it's the first time he's probably been this price in 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Father said Riley. Not that he's biased with the Atlanta Braves logo next to his name.
It's just like I get the ISO numbers, but like Riley and Machado also have the ISO numbers.
I know.
With everything else.
I know.
So
yeah, the Braves 5-man
pitchers fall where they fall. As long as the weather holds out. Again, we got to get boots on the ground there in Georgia. The other half of the power play boys is out there. We got to get the DFS mountain lion. He's out there in Georgia. Got to figure out the little finger test. What's the weather like out there? So we'll see what's going on. Royce Lewis is $3,300 here.
Yep. Interesting.
Only 3 for 6 against lefties. They haven't played him against lefties, but he's here too. Tell us what the weather is there, and if we're gonna have to worry about it or not. So cloudy all day. Yeah, they say it's supposed to rain though, so I guess that's what we have to pay attention to. Any other third baseman for you?
Look, I'm just going to naturally, my brain, when I saw Michael Grove double-digit ownership shut down and like made me want to play White Sox, and that's terrifying because they're not a good team. Jake Berger coming off a double dong yesterday, John. He's 3,600.
He just hits for power, right? Like
only hits for power. And like, again, I understand Michael Grove just only gets righties out. Like, he does not get lefties 30
home runs this year, and everybody's been like, what the heck happened?
And he's gonna have 50 RBIs because they're all solo shots. Nobody on base for Jake Burger home runs. I'm just saying, like, in no world do I ever think Michael Grove is a double-digit owned pitcher in any capacity. Jake Burger has a 306 ISO against right-handed pitching this year. Maybe. There's a case to be made if you're playing 20 lineups that the White Sox should have some ownership come in. Just listen to this for a second. Let me just throw this out there for you. There is 6 guys in their lineup tonight, projected. I don't think we have an official White Sox lineup tonight, that have an ISO of 170 or better against right-handed pitching. 6 of 9. Andrew Benintendi, we know, is not going to be one of those guys because he doesn't hit for power. Tim Anderson's not going to be one of those guys because he doesn't hit for power, but he can be a good baseball player. Yasmani Grandal is a 330 WOBA. That's the only. Everyone else, Luis Robert, 240 ISO. Eloy Jimenez, 180 ISO. Jake Burger, 306 ISO. Romy Gonzalez had that crazy 4-game stretch of like home runs and speed and never to be seen again. 240. Just saying, Michael Grove's a bad pitcher. Jake Burger, 306 ISO. Would not be surprised if we see multiple home runs leave Dodger Stadium tonight because, and again, I'm not sitting here advocating for the White Sox. I'm not, but I would have interest in select numbers. And Jake Burger, 306 ISO stands out to me coming off a game where he double dunked. And like you just said, guy's going to hit 35 home runs and like nobody even cares.
Nobody's going to even notice that it happened. So. All right, you've sold a convincing argument here, so why not run with it? Let's move on over to shortstop. Seager at 55 is up at top here. Again, I like Texas against Ohtani as a contrarian play here today. So Seager will obviously slot into some lineups there at $5,500. But where are you living at this position here today? Because I went down it and it was okay, but nothing really stood out to me. I found myself plugging Kim in at shortstop more often than anything else. I have some Correa, but that's really where I lived today at shortstop.
So I'll throw one name into that because I largely agree. And it's Orlando Arcia at $3,800. Dude, and oh my God, Father, like to his point, as
another,
we just see
another Brave,
as we see like just Brave logo just taking over the YouTube's chat, like, and I get it because they're all incredible against left-handed pitching, and it's a small sample. I will say he's still hitting 330 on the year, so like that's not a small sample. But on the year against left-handed pitching, Orlando Arcia has a 517 ISO and a 594 WOBA. Those are insane numbers for any human on planet Earth. Like, and we're talking about Orlando Arcia, not Ronald Acuna, not Austin Riley, not Ozzie Albies. We're talking about their 8-hitter, who was not even supposed to be their shortstop this year, or was, but was going to be overtaken by Vaughn Grissom at some point. Vaughn Grissom ain't walking through that door because Orlando Arcia has a 517 ISO against left-handed pitching this year.
He's just hitting everybody in general. 331 with a 553. This is the guy that Milwaukee had hoped he'd be, and then they dealt him, and now he's amazing. So
right. That is where that would be the only other like real definitive play that I would be getting to. Hard for me to ignore. Obviously, if I'm stacking Guardians, Ahmed Rosario, 3,200 hitting second. Sure. He has some stolen base support. Yeah.
I mean, Abrams is down here, Kyle Farmer again at 2,500, but it's a weak shortstop outside of sort of that upper half when it comes to value there. Braves hitting coach Kevin Seitzer, he claims, is doing the work with Acuna. Might as well call him Acuna at this point, Arcia, the way he's been playing. Speaking of Ronald Acuna, top outfielder here, he has $6,600 on this slate. That's a hefty price tag.
Probably too cheap.
Probably too cheap.
Probably too cheap.
Only Ronald Acuna and Jake Burger should be this high up.
Agree. That's what I've been screaming this whole episode.
29 fantasy points in back-to-back games. He had a 30-pointer the other day as well. Listen, you can fit him in your lineup tonight. There's enough value, especially in Atlanta. they have like 9 guys that you can play. Their entire outfield is playable, and we'll get to some of the cheaper plays on the slate here. It's just whether or not this game plays, right? We need to know the weather in Atlanta because we're definitely in here. I like Tatis. I like JD Martinez. I think those are fine plays up at the top here as well.
I feel like this game's going to play. This feels good for the Braves, so I'm not all too worried. Tatis is a pretty close second. Is Tatis going to lead the NL in home runs? Like, dude, is he just going to miss half of like a third of the season and just like?
Well, nobody ever said he wasn't 40. Talented. So
no, I know, but like
2 stolen bases the other day. Like he's just got everything. He's got 47 games. He's got 14 homers and 10 stolen bases already. Like, dude, if you took the draft discount this year on him,
imagine you had Acuna, like you took Acuna to start a draft.
And then picked up Tatis like 3 rounds later.
In like the 5th round. Yeah, like you did like a Corbin Carroll. You reached on Corbin Carroll in the 4th and then came back with Tatis.
And then drafted Gunnar Henderson, and now you're just sitting here just like
this every day, just
lean back,
looking on your team like, what a time to be me. Yeah. I think Tatis at 6K is an elite play. Definitely can get to JD Martinez. Adolis is obviously interesting if you're playing your Texas stacks. Kyle Tucker hit a home run against a lefty the other day against Washington. Like, I think you can go well there. I'm not that in on Buxton, truthfully. Like, I think if you're playing Minnesota, that's fine.
Right, we said the numbers. One, he's struggling against lefties, and he's never hit Boyd. So
right.
I'm fine going against that. Pittsburgh, Chicago is just too much of too good of a pitcher's environment today to want to go any of them. Bellinger's back though. He's cheaper on FanDuel. He's like $2,900, but not going to pay 48 on DraftKings for him. Morel, I would have liked it, but again, the wind kind of knocked him down. But Morel's power stroke slowly starting to come back here. Where else are you kind of piecing out? Because I looked at the top group and then I kind of just went down to the value, man. Like, there's some good guys here, like 3,500 and under.
I mean, if you want to listen to my babbling idiotic self at times, like Luis Robert, $4,800 against Michael Grove.
Sure.
Homered in 2 of his last 3 games. We know how streaky Luis Robert can be.
And Eloy Jimenez
came back and is priced appropriately, semi-appropriately. Like, he still should be more expensive.
He's not $3,700.
He's not $3,700.
Congrats to DraftKings on that.
Congrats to DraftKings. But he looked perfectly fine with the calf injury. 2 for 5. They scored 8 runs. Hey, look at that. Eloy Jimenez back. They go 8 runs with Clayton Kershaw on the opposing them, right? Like, just saying. White Sox tonight. But then, like, after that, I largely agree. It falls off a cliff, and like Nolan Jones would be the next name you really get to, and then it's like, oh, look, more Braves you can play.
Yeah, I mean, there is, right? There's Ozuna at $3,600. Pilar is all the way down here.
22.
At 20. Yeah, what is it at? 22.
I think he's $2,200.
At $2,200. I mean, that guy was on a heater for a little bit, cooling down some, but still was killing lefties. So you can get down to there if you just want to go more Braves on this slate. I like Leotis at $3K again. And then Mark points it out, Chas with an S, as he spells it on everywhere else, but on his Twitter account, he uses a Z for Chaz. Leading off tonight, he was my home run call a few nights ago, came through for us here. Listen, he homered off a righty, not a lefty in that game.
Yep.
But he just has power in general. Now he's going up against Mackenzie Gore, who is good, but also bad at times. So which version of Mackenzie Gore shows up here tonight? We will find out. But I definitely like Houston tonight. McCormick, Abreu, those guys in stacks tonight, I think are pretty viable options here. So, I'm in on McCormick there as well. What other value outfielders are on your radar?
Before we hop into that, if you were Chas McCormick, would you go with the Z or would you go with the S? Because I would definitely go Z.
Yeah, no, you go with the
Z. You go with the Z.
Yeah.
He's doing the right thing. His parents
is Chas his actual name, or is it short for like you know,
like Chastity or something.
well,
Chaz
maybe not chastity, but like,
well, what else could it? What is
Chase.
Chaz short for?
Maybe it's Chase.
No, Chaz Kane McCormick.
Okay.
That's his full name. I don't know.
Well, I would rather the Z.
Yeah.
Maybe his parents wanted him to be proper or something like that. Like, the Z's too renegade. We gotta go the S.
Is Chasely worse than? Is that worse than Chastity? I don't know. I think that's worse.
Yeah. Well, Chastity is a more
like
of a feminine name.
Yeah. Well, Hey, man.
Chasely, is could be. I said Chase, so Chas short for Chase.
Chase Utley ain't walking through that door.
It's true. So, anyways, back to what we were talking about here.
No, that was
Chastity
more
is a girl's name, right? Yeah, a girl's name, correct.
Jake Myers, 2,300. If you want to stick with, if you want to stick with, definitely not chase him, Mark. I mean, what are we doing? Chase him?
Like is that chasm?
Could be a chasm. Jake Myers, 2,300.
Hayward's here at 25, right?
Hayward at 25 hits righties. Corey Dickerson, 2,200.
Michael Taylor we talked about last night on the show.
And Michael Taylor has been balling. Yeah, has been balling.
345,000 OPS, 724 slug over the last 10 games, 3 homers, and a guy that has historically hit left-handed pitching pretty well. Let's see, any BVP here for him against Boyd. Michael A. Taylor is 3 for 8 with a double in his career there.
Shout out to the A.
Really the only guy that has anything worth noting. Joey Gallo, but not active. Has a homer off of him, but that's about it. Not good numbers here for Boyd. 23 strikeouts and 76 at-bats for Boyd here against the current roster of the Twins. So there you go. Yeah, Michael Taylor has 10 home runs. Yeah, the prophecy of the Nationals prospect coming through a decade later, it feels
for like. The Twins. Yes, for the Twins.
Well, he was on the Nationals. He's now on the Twins.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, yeah. 11 stolen bases, too. He really is becoming the player that they thought he would be. And then they replaced him with Victor Robles, who they thought would also be that guy, who hasn't been that guy. And now they're hoping Elijah Green comes up and eventually becomes that guy, who probably won't be that guy. And there was someone even before Michael Taylor. Who was it? He never even made it to the majors. I don't think he ended up having some issues, but now I'm totally blanking on the name there. So home run calls, the Prince. Yeah, we got some home run calls for you. We got home run calls. We got favorite stacks, favorite value plays, contrarian stacks. But I guess if we're done with outfielders, we can get into that part of the show here, James. What do you think?
Yeah. Do you want to start? You want to lead us off?
No, not Carter Kaiser. Not a shortstop. Elijah Dukes. That's who it was.
Elijah Dukes.
Remember Elijah Dukes? He was supposed to be the next upcoming outfielder for them, and he never showed up and did anything either. So
yeah, I think Carter Kaboom's still 25, 20. He's still relatively young.
Yeah, but yeah, there's nowhere to be seen there. All right, let's get to our Grande Gems and Impemba imprints here, James. Run it down for me after you drink your water here. Don't want to choke. Give me your home run call of the evening.
A lot of talking this stream, I'm talking more than usual, which is hard to do. The home run call is Sean Murphy tonight, plus 330 over on DraftKings Sportsbook. No surprise there. Braves everywhere. Yo, my Godfather nailed it. Top stack of the night, Braves. The field is there too. This isn't a secret. Everyone's getting to them. They have a 6 implied run total. It's like Coors, but we're in Atlanta,
Yeah.
And Colorado just happens to be on the slate, be the opponent. So unfortunate for them. My contrarian stack, look, I've talked myself into it. I'm going to plant my flag. No, it is not the Minnesota Twins. I'm not going to lose money on tonight. It is going to be the Chicago White Sox that I'm going to lose money on tonight. Mark is going to be the one losing, as he already talked about it. Another full Twin stacks. Thanks, guys. I thought that was the best comment of the whole stream because Mark just gets it. He understands. White Sox are my top stack. Star of the night. I mean, I'll just stick with Sean Murphy because I think Sean Murphy has infinite upside. Like, it's
Sure.
hard to just go away from the Braves when every single player in their lineup has a 300 ISO or better. And then my value play of the night, I'll go with Orlando Arcia. And if you want to be contrarian, I'll go with Jake Berger, who has 15 home runs in like 50 games.
I thought you were going with Burger. That was like my
A
my
burger
guess
sounds
there.
really good though right now, John. I don't know about you, but a burger sounds really good
I
right
could
about now.
certainly get behind a good burger there. So yeah, I like that. I like that. All right, for me, my home run call tonight, we're gonna go with the Macho Man Manny Machado. I think he gets it done there against the lefty. Just a lot of power upside on a heater there. Some good power numbers. For my top stack of the evening, yes, Atlanta have to. If you want to pivot off that, I think you can go Dodgers against Cease.
Yep.
I think you can go there. My contrarian stack, I've said it. I'm going against Ohtani. So give me Texas. I'll play Seager and Nathaniel Lowe, Jonah Heim, Adola, Simeon, some combination of those guys here tonight against Ohtani, just to be different from the field here. I think that will play out there. My star of the night, we're going to go with Corey Seager. I think he's the one that makes a difference for that contrarian stack. Again, Otani's just been hit his last two outings here where we thought maybe he would have some good numbers. And then my value play of the evening, we're just going to run it back with Jose Abreu on another one on a heater, hitting for power. Gets a lefty here, hitting lefties really well over the last week. So a couple weeks, actually. So give me Jose Abreu as my value play. Give me Corey Seager as my star of the night. Give me the Rangers as my contrarian stack. Give me the Dodgers and the Braves as my top two stacks of the night there. And then my star of the night, my home run call, rather, is then be Manny Machado here this evening on the board. So, James, before we get to build our lineup, just one last mention here for the new people tuning into the show. Fantasy Slam Draft Guide. It's out. Fantasy Football Draft Guide is here. FantasySlam.com/draft guide. If you want to buy just a draft guide, it's $26.99. Or you get it free with a subscription. So sign up, go to FantasySlam.com/all-pro. Use promo code MLB50. You save 50% off the first 6 months. It's $19.98 a month for the first 6 months. It also comes with a 7-day free trial. And included in that subscription is the Fantasy Football Living Draft Guide. This is not a hard copy magazine. This is something that lives on site and it is updated as regularly as needed. Also comes with a cheat sheet that comes out with all the rankings, auction grids, everything you need to dominate your fantasy football drafts. So don't buy a stale draft guide at your grocery store, at your newsstand, wherever you go. Last year, James, those magazines came out, and then Cam Akers got hurt, and then J.K. Dobbins got hurt. All these guys got hurt, and you're reading these magazines where they're RB5, RB10, the top guys you have to have in your drafts, and they're out for the year. So, and those magazines are old data. Not here at Fantasy Slam. We had everything updated, all the rankings updated for all of you. So get now access to the Fantasy Football Draft Guide. It is fantasy football season here already. That's it. Let's go build our lineups here, James. What do you say?
Let's go build our lineups here, John. Let's get it.
Give me I'm plugging Stroman as my SP1. What is your SP2 here tonight?
I mean, we're just so on different sides of the fence here at pitcher. We might as well just go Sonny Gray because at least that's like the middle ground for us. We agree on Sonny Gray.
I'm fine. I like that. Catcher at 4K, you like Sean Murphy, so I'll piece that one in there. First base position here. I like Jose Abreu. Can we go Jose Abreu?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Second base, we have Albies at $4,800. We have Hassan Kim at 36.
Yep. You could play them both technically if you wanted to play Kim at short. Because
true.
We're either going Kim or I think we're probably settling on Kim or Orlando Arcia.
I was going to use Arcia for the play there.
Okay.
Second base, Albies. We're at $3,800 here. I mean, Burger's there at 36, so I'm fine going with your value play.
So if we're building one lineup, I feel like we're missing out on if we don't have Riley, Ramirez, or Machado. Personally.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Like, I'm playing multiple lineups. That's why I'm playing Jake Burger in one, right? Like, I'm going to play Jake Burger in a contrarian White Sox stack that's going to score 2 runs.
Mm-hmm.
just feels like we're leaving too much on the table
Sure.
without having because like we can spend on Chas McCormick or Kevin Pillar or Michael Taylor or like insert Jason Hayward. Like there's an
Sure.
infinite amount of good outfield value tonight.
I agree with you. Let's move off Arcia then. Maybe get probably can't get Acuna, I would imagine. Probably too expensive. $2,100.
The only really way I think that we could probably get to Acuna is if we went from Albies to Jimenez, and I don't know if we would really want to do that, but it's an option to do
Could
so.
go down to Bell.
You go down to Josh Bell. So I have, what do I have different than you that I have? You have Farmer, you have Michael Taylor. I went Pilar and McCormick. Yeah, we have the same. I have 3,500 for a shortstop, which is $100 off Hassan Kim, and that makes me sad. So
Yeah, that makes me sad. What was our Mark's guy, Donovan Solano's down there. Fry, as you mentioned, down here at 2K
oh
as well.
god, oh
Could go down there in those directions if you were interested.
right. I'm not really.
Okay.
I mean, boy, hundred
Oh, we can do
dollars off.
this. Well, let's do this because you
Go
like.
Machado, or you go Machado or Jose
Yeah,
Ramirez.
we'll go Ramirez. We'll get the 3-4. Now we have
Okay.
$1,000 to play with here.
Go back to Jose Abreu at first, or you want to stay Josh Bell?
I can do Abreu here. That's fine. Abreu, and then that's 2,900 for a shortstop. So still kind of sitting here at Farmer.
Kyle Farmer, yep. Works.
Okay. So we got a lineup here. James and I, a lot of different variations that can go here tonight. But we got Stroman, Gray, two top rostered pitchers as expected on the slate here tonight. Murphy, Abreu, Albies, Ramirez, Farmer, McCormick, Taylor, and Acuna. We got an Atlanta stack. We got a two-man Houston stack. We got a two-man Minnesota stack out of nowhere. You're welcome, Mark. And we got a one-off Jose Ramirez here at $4,500 at third base. James and I will be in the Discord till roster locks. So you find us in there. We'll be back tomorrow, podcast in the morning, and then a live stream at 5 o'clock to close out the week for everybody.